Welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast, where we discover the fight for freedom, fulfillment, passion, and purpose. Your host is Kurt Mercadante, Gallup certified strengths coach, an agency founder who is dedicated to coaching individuals seeking to level up their life and their businesses. The Freedom Club is about unlocking your talents, turning them into strengths, and crushing your objectives. You can learn more at kurtmercadante.com. Welcome to the Freedom Club.
And this is the Freedom Club Podcast. I am your host, Kurt Mercadante. I am so happy you are here. And if you tuned in this Wednesday, today, hoping to hear a wonderful interview due to a little bit of a scheduling snafu with the person I was set to interview, and you know who you are. I'm just kidding. It was an honest mistake, and he's a good friend of mine. I won't name him by name, but if he listens, he knows who he is. We weren't able to have an interview today, so you're stuck with me today. And what I'd like to do on today's podcast is share some recent experiences, some questions that I've had throughout the week in the wonderful world of social media, because I think they're very telling and I think we can learn a lot from them. First of all, there was someone who came to me and he was afraid to talk about it a little bit, and I know exactly why. But he recently suffered a panic attack, an anxiety attack. And he felt weak about telling it to me. And I tell you this not because I agree that he was weak. I tell you this because I was once there, about 10 years ago. I did a post on LinkedIn about this a few weeks ago. I felt weak, even now as a coach, with all the public speaking I do, with all the videos, with the podcast. I felt weak about coming clean about the anxiety attacks that I had. At one point, it was so bad I couldn't stand the voice of my own family, the voices of my own family. It's embarrassing now for me to talk about it, but I talk about it because if my experience can help someone else, then I'm fulfilling my mission. And what I told that person this week is, it's not weakness to experience these things. It's not weakness to tell other people about it. Where weakness comes in is if you are so afraid that you go into hiding about it. Real strength is summoning that intestinal fortitude to tell other people about it and seek help. I've been a pretty heavy, consistent weightlifter since I was about 12 years old. And I'll tell you what, it's not weakness when you're in the gym to ask for someone to help you with a spot, right? Sometimes you need a little help mentally or physically to get that weight up. It is certainly not weakness to admit that. And those of you who know me, those of you who listen to this podcast, those of you who watch my videos can probably figure out that I've been called an alpha male. And so I'm not one of these people who you would describe as touchy-feely. I like to box. I like to hit shit. I like to lift heavy weights. I like heavy metal music. But I also no longer believe it is a weakness when you have challenges brought out by trying to lift the weight of the world on your shoulders, because often that is the myth we are taught as men as we grow up. We're taught that it's our duty, our responsibility to do so. We're taught to value ourselves only as paycheck providers. Since we're 5, we're taught that our goal should be getting into the right college, getting that right career so we can support our family. And so we do that and we focus on that dollar amount. And it's almost as if we're putting a price tag on our marriage, a price tag on our relationships with our kids, because so often we are so focused on that dollar amount that those relationships suffer. And if you allow that suffering to continue, that, my friends, is weakness. True strength is admitting there's a problem, talking to people about those challenges. That is where true strength comes in. And when you look at it as strength, you can then use that challenge. And trust me, when you're going through those periods of anxiety, It certainly feels like the world is collapsing around you, but I promise you, it is possible to take that situation, take that horrible situation where there seems to be no hope, and use it as fuel to create the lifestyle you desire. Because, my friends, as humans, it's in our nature to be motivated more by pain avoidance than the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of fulfillment. And so if you are in such a situation in which you are feeling that anxiety, feeling that pain, I want you to commit to avoiding that pain now. You've got nothing to lose at this point. Picture that lifestyle you want. And I don't want you to think about dollar amounts. I want you to think about your family and yourself. And only after you have drawn that picture, then are you allowed to start thinking about work, because you have to fit it in to the picture you've drawn of family and self. Put that first. So if you're a man who's going through that, anxiety, who feels like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, talk to someone about it. Send me a message. Talk to me about it. I have been there. And if anyone says you're weak, tell them to fuck off. Tell them I told them to fuck off, because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I guarantee it. True strength is knowing when you have a problem. True strength is not being afraid to talk to people about it. True strength is about pivoting, learning, and truly living a lifestyle you desire, in which you prioritize your love and your relationships with your spouse, with your kids. And then, only then, figuring out what type of work you're going to engage in to support them, and have the ability to have the financial freedom to purchase those experiences that will give you all fulfillment in your lives. So the other thing I wanted to talk about today is I've posted some things on LinkedIn and on Facebook about what I call the habit of mediocrity. And some people want to split hairs and say, mediocrity is not a habit. Mediocrity absolutely is a habit. You've heard me call it a comfort zone of misery. And when your habit is to come home at night on the weekends and sit on the couch, that proverbial couch that represents your comfort zone of misery, it becomes a habit. When you do it day after day, week after week, you know you're miserable. You know you're living in quiet desperation, but it's become such a habit that it's just hard for you to get up and start working, stop and start acting toward the change that you desire. And so it absolutely has become mediocrity. And the other thing I posted is that to get out of that habit, to break that habit of mediocrity, to get out of that comfort zone, it takes massive action. And I've had some people argue, oh no, some people are just there because of the circumstances. Some people are just there because of their past. Bad things have happened to them in the past, and sometimes it takes small steps. No. I want to tell you right now, if you have been plagued by that habit of mediocrity for years, if you have been sitting on that proverbial couch, that comfort zone of misery for years, you have built up inertia like a humongous boulder. And small little steps, pushing that boulder gingerly ain't gonna move it. It takes massive action to get it moving in the right direction. And then, yes, we come and we build in a process, we build in a strategy so that you're focused on daily outcomes. But the vast majority of people I work with are great strategic thinkers. They have all sorts of flowcharts and spreadsheets and whiteboards, and they plan shit to absolute death. What they need is action. They need massive action to overcome the inertia that they have built up over years of living with that mediocrity habit. So it does take massive action. And is it scary? Yes. And that's why I only want to work with people who are hungry enough to take massive action, to take a risk, to do it. because they know that the current course is leading to massive pain down the road. Perhaps the loss of their marriage, perhaps the loss in the destruction of their relationship with their kids. So if you want to avoid pain, avoid that pain down the line. I talked to someone last week and he tacitly admitted to me that he wasn't yet hungry enough to make change. He was waiting for that crisis to happen to force his hand. I have discussions like that all the time. They're heartbreaking to me because I know what's coming down the pike. There's going to be an explosion, a lightning strike. They're going to be forced into a corner. And they're going to have to choose quitting their job or quitting their marriage, having their relationships destroyed. They don't have the intestinal fortitude, the hunger yet to make a change, to see that train wreck coming. It's almost like they're willing that train wreck to occur so that it will force their hand. And if that sounds like you, I challenge you today. Get off that proverbial couch. Break the mediocrity habit today. Take action. I don't care if you hire me as a coach or someone else. But get help. Admitting you have a challenge, my fellow men, is not weakness. It is strength. So I leave you today with one final question. Are you man enough? Are you strong enough to change your life for the better? Are you man enough? Are you strong enough to rescue the relationship with your wife, the relationship with your kids that is being threatened by your current lifestyle, your current career, your current workplace of valuing yourself only as a paycheck generator? That's my challenge to you. If you're strong enough, go online, pick up your smartphone, find me on LinkedIn, find my website, kurtmercadante.com. Send me a message. Let's fight together. And if you don't like me, if you don't want me as your coach, that's fine. I know several other coaches who will serve you well. I wish you a week of freedom, abundance, and strength. This has been the Freedom Club Podcast. I'm your host, Kurt Mercadante. I'll talk to you again Friday.